Hey, this is Ron with Ron's Fuel Stop. I did some videos leading up to me kind of going through a transition of over the last 5 years, uh, starting my own business, being on the road as a Schneider driver, um, going up, I guess you could say, through the opportunities, uh, being a training engineer, which we know it's a responsibility. It's also something that most companies have a hard time finding guys willing to do it. But it was something I did, and somewhat successful at it, and had the opportunity to become an instructor, and from there had an opportunity to be kind of an advisor um, within the company for drivers. And well, I just could not sit at the desk and take phone calls all day. Phone calls are not my favorite thing. So I love trucks. I love driving. Here I am back on the road. So you'll see some things coming through from me under the title of Ron's Fuel Stop. And everybody does techie stuff. Like for me, I'm thinking about what kind of satellite radio antenna to get in my new truck. This time as an owner-op, I can do what I need to it to make it work. And yet, look what I've settled with. So far in the first 4 or 5 days that I've had my truck, I haven't been any place that didn't work. So I'll try that for now. But I'm thinking more on the light of the life and what goes on in the mind of a trucker. I think we do a lot of blanking things out. I think truck drivers, sometimes we might, whether or not we earn it or not, we might be considered or have an MO, a modus operandi of people who avoid dealing with some of the things at home. I do not want to be that, and I want to find ways to be an example to show you not to do that. Beyond just the normal, providing and calling home, but really taking the downtime that we have and turning it into opportunity to pull together details and thought processes that there's not time for in the daily hubbub of life at home sometimes. So my thought for this day, really inspired by my own father, who went through a tragic accident recently. Details generally that 81-year-old man hit by a tree falling on him, which broke his leg and his pelvis and ribs, and became very near death with internal bleeding, and has been over a month now recovering in the hospital and then in a assisted care home, and had to deal with his mindset of what do you think about when you're down and you're unable to be of any seemingly of any usefulness to people, and rather you have to accept other people's help. I think of that in the truck driver's life, when we're separated from our loved ones, from family, from children, from our house. Sometimes we feel a little frustrated at the things going on, that we can't do anything about it. We're unable to do anything about it, and feel paralyzed in that. So you go down the rabbit hole thinking about that. But my dad showed me an example of somebody who is able to focus on a statement that comes from some very famous ancient writers that says, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are honest, whatever things are of good report, think on these things. I think that's something that for us as truck drivers we really have a challenge with, to think about the positive and to be someone who turns others toward the positive. I compare us this time of year, I would compare us to, if you're into the biblical narrative of Christmas, that that shepherds were the least likely people to receive the message from the angels that Christ was born. Shepherds. They were the lowest of the low. They were separated from society. They were out on their own in the fields, watching over their flocks by night. And yet they were the ones that were chosen. And I often think of the common man, which we are out here driving trucks. We're the common people, common in many cases of the word. And sorry about that audio there. Is it possible for good news to come through us? There's a thought for the day. What good news will come through you this Christmas? Anyway, that's Ron's Fuel Stop. Went past my 5-minute limit for the day, and I wish you safe travels. I'm about to push in my brakes and head toward Neely's Landing and on to somewhere south of Indianapolis, and then hopefully catch a scrap load home to Green Bay in time for Christmas. Anyway, blessings on you. Ron's Fuel Stop.